Okay, so we're done for another day in hockey, and there wasn't a whole lot of scoring, so I think this video is going to go a little faster than most reviews do, especially since there's 11 games tonight. So, let's go ahead and just jump immediately into this with the Ottawa Senators in against the Islanders. Congratulations to the New York Islanders, it's 10 in a row. This is normally when I would do a video on the winning streak, would be after win number 10. Because I already did the winning streak video after 9, I'm not doing another one. That would be kind of obnoxious and obscene. So, the first note from tonight's game was that Eric Brandstrom was a healthy scratch for Ottawa. He hasn't been tearing up the score sheets. He's been, I think his play's been slipping as the season's gone on. And I do think he's going to end up getting demoted to the minors at some point soon. The shots were, the shot was 1-0 Ottawa at 6 minutes. The shot, I can't say multiple because there was only one shot. Ottawa had it at 6 minutes into the game. The Islanders got a power play, and the play did kind of pick up. Pajot scored shorthanded from Nemesnikov at 7:44. So Nemesnikov continues to put up points with the Senators. However, Clutterbuck would score from Cizikas and Taves at 8:23. So that was shortly after the power play ended. So it's 1-1 after 1. And you're looking at this and going, well, maybe Ottawa, maybe. Second period, the Sens got a power play and Greiss saved. Greiss had a really, really good game tonight. In fact, realized I didn't have the 3 stars on there. And yeah, Greiss didn't end up being in the 3 stars, but I thought he played very well tonight. And it was a very good road game for the Ottawa Senators. And despite where the score ends up, I thought Ottawa played a pretty decent game on the road. It's just the reality where they'll come out on the short end and you still go, well, they gave her the old college try. And it looked like it was going to be another low-scoring game for the New York Islanders, and it was. Bardreau then got a penalty shot, and the penalty shot resulted in a goal at 15:34. It's his first NHL goal, as I said, a penalty shot, and had to feel pretty good for that kid. And it's 2-1 the Islanders after 2. And yeah, that was all they really needed. Going into the third, the only question I had was, can the Sens fight through the trap? This way that the Islanders play. The Islanders, the Coyotes, and to some extent the Ducks. The Ducks has been starting to break down a bit, but these teams play a trapping style of hockey. Well, in the third period, the Islanders decided they like to have a shorthanded goal as well. So Cizikas scores from Clutterbuck and Mayfield at 10 minutes. And then 40 seconds later, it's Bailey from Pelech and Dobson. There was some uncertainty as to whether or not Dobson might get credit for the goal. Last I saw, it's Bailey's goal. So they had given it to him. It's 4-1 is your final. So in the end, the Islanders, it wasn't close. But when you look at this game, it was 2-1 going to the third. The Senators made it as close as they could hope to against a team that's playing really, really well right now in the New York Islanders. Anderson, 28 saves on 32 shots. Greiss saved 27 out of 28. Like I said, he was really good. Not in the 3 stars. Clutterbuck, Cizikas, and Bardreau were your 3 stars, and I can't really find any complaints with those 3, to be honest. Shots 10-8 in the first in favor of the Islanders, 13-10 Islanders in the second, and in the third, Ottawa led the game 10-9. The end of the night, the shots were 32-28 in favor of the Islanders. They go 0-2 on the power play. Ottawa goes 0-4, and it proves that just because I made a video on something doesn't mean that it's gonna turn everything wrong. It's just I don't have any kind of correlation on what happens. Next up, Carolina in against Philly. The Flyers right here. They are hanging around. And with the Metro being as wide open as it really and truly is, the Flyers could end up making me look kind of smart with saying that they should be back in a playoff spot this year because they don't miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. The Canes, though, were up 5-1 in shots 3 minutes into the first. The Flyers then got a power play, and this is still very early in the game, and Couturier scored on the power play from Niskanen and Gostisbehere. Yeah, 3 minutes and 30 seconds in. That's the second shot of the game for Philly, and it went in. So the Canes' early fast start, kind of forgotten right there. The Canes got a power play shortly thereafter. Carter Hart looked really good tonight, though. Hart had a good game. And then Raffle got hurt on, it wasn't called a cross-check, but I believe it was, I'm trying to think of who it was that took him down. because there was a play in a different game that I'm thinking of now, and no, that player's not a member of the Canes. But Raffle got hurt. I didn't see whether or not he came back or not. There was a lot to follow tonight. But either way, it was 1-0 Philadelphia after one. Second period, Wallmark scored from Van Riemsdyk and Netchus at 6:17. The Canes are ahead in shots, and it felt like they had the momentum. Hart, though, really improving his numbers in this game. Carter Hart needed a game like this, and he was really solid. It's 1-1 going to the third. And right at the start of the third, a minute and 12 seconds in, Konechny scores from Niskanen and Couturier, and it's 2-1 for the Flyers, and it feels like they got a lot of confidence from that. The Flyers got a power play. The Canes then got a power play. They needed a goal. They didn't get one. Farabee would then score from Giroux and Van Riemsdyk at 12 minutes and 59 seconds. Joel Farabee's looked pretty darn solid for Philly since the call-up. And then Giroux would score from Pitlick and Myers at 17:38. That makes it 4-1, and that's your final. So again, lowish scoring game. There was a number of those tonight. There really was. Mrazek saved 24 out of 28. Hart saves 33 out of 34. You know, the one thing that I was wondering about with Carolina going into this season was whether or not Mrazek would keep up the excellent play and whether or not Reimer could replace McElhinney. And so far, the jury's still out on both. And it makes a big difference. Last year, the Carolina Hurricanes were getting excellent goaltending. 3 stars, Konechny, Farabee, and Hart. Hart with 33 saves on 34 shots. That'll bring his stats up quite a bit and build his confidence. The shots in this game were 14-10 in favor of Carolina in the first, 9-5 Carolina in the second. And then in the third, Philadelphia got the idea that they could end it, and they outshot them 13-11. Final shots, 34-28 in favor of Carolina on the power plays. Carolina 0 for 3 and Philadelphia 1 for 3. So the overall numbers tonight sort of kind of favored Carolina, but the number that matters with goals, that's the one that favors Philadelphia. Again, that's the one that really kind of matters at the end of the night. Next up, Vegas. I honestly, I have to say, Vegas on the road was more impressive tonight than their last 2 games at home. And this is the kind of play that they may have to do to get out of this malaise they've been in. So they get a power play early and they don't score on it. Columbus gets one. Nobody scored on their power plays tonight between these two. Both goalies were playing really well. Last minute of the first period, Smith scores from Carlson and Marchessault, 19 minutes and 15 seconds. They challenged it for being offside, and that fails, so Vegas gets a power play out of that. They wouldn't score, but challenges were a storyline tonight. We're not going to be to that game for a bit, though. Second period, Boone Jenner scores from Kukin and Foligno at 5:37, and then Columbus gets a power play shortly thereafter, so they have a chance to go ahead. Well, instead, Riley, Smith, and Carlson decide to combine again on a goal at 7:35. Short end of goal, it was a quick break. Beautiful pass, Holden, Carlson, Smith, in the back of the net. And, Korpisalo had an excellent game. No chance for him on that one. Made it 2-1, and then Vegas just sort of killed it. They killed the rest of the game. Third period, Columbus was physical, and it did look like Vegas was kind of holding on a bit. It didn't feel the same as it did in Vegas, though, where they had the 2-goal lead. Not a lot of flashy play from Vegas tonight, and maybe that's for the best for them. Vegas was up 6-1 in shots in that third period at 11 minutes. But then Columbus got their 4th power play of the night, and then they got 4 shots on that power play, and they generated more opportunities. There was a great chance for Bjorkstrand that Fleury kicked right out. So Marc-Andre Fleury was solid when he had to be, and yeah, for Vegas, they hold on and they win it 2-1. I don't really have anything else to add to it. It's a compliment to this game that, it was a nice, tight checking, low-scoring game. Fleury, 29 saves on 30 shots. Korpisalo saves 23 out of 25. Your 3 stars, Riley Smith, William Karlsson, and Jonas Korpisalo. And really good road game for Vegas. Sometimes it's not beautiful hockey. It's winning hockey. And we look at the Islanders, we look at Arizona as examples of teams that have been playing that way this year. Power plays, Vegas goes 0 for 3. Columbus went 0 for 4. Shots were 9-9 in the first, 11-9 in favor of Columbus in the second, and 10-7 in favor of Columbus in the third. So your final shots are 30-25. But I thought the defense was really solid for Vegas. And again, that's the kind of road game you need to play, and it gets you right back on track. So, Pacific Division is going to be really tough this year, and we're seeing that not just, within the division, but we're seeing that when they play other divisions as well. They've been kind of the butt of jokes for years, and I think that's coming to an end this year. That being said, moving along, Boston. I'm nervous about Boston, and I said, coming out of that game where they won 6-4 against Pittsburgh, that's the kind of game that makes me nervous, because they come out and they win that game. It was a sloppy game. Tonight against Montreal, they did not come out unscathed. And this is kind of what happens. Now, I have a bone to pick with Victor Mete. May not be a Montreal fan, but I'm a huge fan of Victor Mete. I think he's a great young player. This was not the night for your first ever 2-goal game against Boston. He would score from Petrie and Armia at 1 minute and 13 seconds. And right away I'm like, oh, come on. Really? This game? You're going to pick now? Price then robbed Torrey Krug. And the Bruins' record versus Carey Price is not great. Carey Price has 26 wins coming into tonight against Boston. Now it's 27. And that is the most wins he has against any team in the NHL. I am well aware that last year Boston handled Montreal and wasn't really a big deal. But traditionally, it's been a bad matchup for Boston. For people who watch my history series, not this past summer, but the summer before, Boston versus Montreal is a bad matchup for Boston. It has traditionally been that. And I always think, eventually the universe is going to align things, so it's a bad matchup again. Then the Bruins get a power play with 5 minutes and 11 seconds left in the period. Pasta scores from Krug and Bergeron at 14:55. That's his 9th power play goal. He is now one ahead of James Neal for the NHL lead in that area. That'd be your bright spot tonight. The other bright spot would be that Chara, playing his 1500th game, got a nice ovation from Montreal for that. That's kind of nice. But I don't think the result tonight was what Chara would have wanted for his 1500th game. Tatar would score from Gallagher and Sherratt at 16:45. Did I mention Montreal didn't like this game getting tied, so they would deal with it pretty quickly? Byron then scored his first of the season at 17:16, so 2 goals about 30 seconds apart. Have I also mentioned that Tuukka Rask traditionally against Montreal? It's not great for him. I would probably have had Halak in net tonight if I was Bruce Cassidy. So it's 3-1 Montreal after 1. Second period, the Habs got a power play. The Bruins killed it, but Montreal got another power play. Those would be their only 2 power plays of the night, though. Paling then took a puck in the ear. I've been seeing a lot of that this week. And it's weird how we'll see just a rash of all of these injuries that are the same at one time. Last year we had a number of goaltenders suddenly all getting concussed seemingly at the same time. And now it just seems like players are taking pucks in the ear this week. You have to turn your head when you get a shot coming at you, but man, that's gotta just sting. Clifton then scored at 7 minutes and 17 seconds, and I had to put up here, the Habs are way ahead in chances. The Habs were way ahead on this game. So the fact that Boston was behind by 1 goal, I thought flattered Boston at that stage. Bjork then scored from McAvoy at 18:13. That tied the game. And then Mete scored from Lehkonen and Petrie 42 seconds later at 18 minutes and 55 seconds. Victor Mete gets his 2nd goal of the game. All kidding aside, I am happy for the kid. I'm happy to see him finally getting some goals because I know the offense is there. So that made it 4-3 for Montreal after 2. Now that's, I believe, the same score that Boston faced going into the Pittsburgh game the other night. And I didn't like it. I thought, if this goes to Boston's head at all, they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to win it. And they could have. Corrali scored from Wagner at 3 minutes and 3 seconds. The shots were evening out. Boston played very well. Charlie Coyle then scored a goal. Nice goal. But they deduced that the Bruins were offside. And I was watching the TSN feed, and the TSN guys said, all right, well, he kicked it. It was in his feet, but it looks like he has control. I've always thought that for a guy to actually have control of the puck when he goes across the blue line, because you can precede the puck if you have control, he has to have it on his stick. But they took a long time looking at it, so I'm wrong. And I guess they could deduce that he didn't kick it with his foot until he was already across the blue line. Either way, they called the goal back. This is how that works. And Gallagher then hurt his hand on a shot block. He was really upset when he hurt his hand on that shot block too. Like, he smashed his stick pretty good. Almost nailed the trainer with his stick when he did it too on the backswing. Price then denied Brett Ritchie. Ritchie looked like he was going to restore the lead, didn't. And then Sherratt scored from Weber and Tatar at 9 minutes and 6 seconds. And at that point I went, yeah, Montreal's not going to blow this lead. Boston had their chances. Carey Price did what Carey Price does, go games on the line, and he won it. Rask saved 26 out of 31. Price saved 21 out of 25. Your 3 stars tonight, Mete, Sherratt, and Tatar. Now, I don't know if with a 1-goal win, you can say, well, no Bruins belonged in the top 3 stars, but I'm not sure which Bruin you would put in there instead of Sherratt, who had the game winner. Tatar had a goal and an assist, and of course, Mete had 2 goals. So I can't really take any issue with any of the 3 stars. Power plays, Boston went 1 for 2. Montreal went 0 for 2. Shots 13-6 in favor of Montreal in the first, 12-9 Montreal in the second, 10-6 Boston in the third. Final shots 31-25 in favor of the Montreal Canadiens. And the right team won tonight. That being said, I now have to change boards. We had a scare tonight with LA and Toronto. The scare wasn't an injury scare. It was that LA might beat Toronto. The first period, the shots were 5-2 LA at around the 9-minute mark. LA had puck control. Kerfoot then took a hit from Carter. Carter blasted him. And it's easy to forget with Jeff Carter, known as a goal scorer, that he can do that. The Leafs had a power play with 4 minutes and 18 seconds left. They didn't score on it because Tavares missed a wide open net. I don't know how. I don't know how he missed that net. He was looking skyward after. It's his first game back, though, and when you're coming back from broken finger, I could see that maybe he did seem to have trouble with the stick at points tonight. I don't think he's 100%. One of the reasons why they won't tell you what exactly is wrong with a guy is because in the old days, back in the 80s, if they know you're coming back off a broken finger, a lot of players on the other team would be wrapping him over the hand. Like, hey, your finger hurts. Wrap you over the hand. So you don't see that now like you used to, but that is part of the reason why they don't talk about what the injury is. So when you get mad about upper body injury, lower body injury, why aren't they telling us? That's why. Players will go, that's your weak spot, we're going to hit it. Second period starts with scoreless tie. The Kings got a power play early. Moore got the best chance on that one shorthanded. However, the Kings actually get a break on the power play. At 5 minutes and 40 seconds, Iafallo from Kopitar and Brown. And it was a really, really nice goal in that Iafallo took it from behind the goal line, brought it out front, and then put it in. Very nice play. Kopitar kind of missed on it, but I think it was intentional. I think Kopitar wanted it to go over to Iafallo that way. And it was a really nice play, and you could kind of feel the tension in that building. That was the 11th time in 16 games that the Leafs have allowed the first goal. They play from behind way too much. And as the season goes along, that can really hurt you. That being said, Kerfoot would score at 13 minutes and 29 seconds. So that's revenge for the hit that he took from Carter, I guess. So he gets a goal, and the Leafs got a power play with 5 minutes left. The Leafs didn't score on the power play tonight. I think that's the most worrying thing. The LA Kings that came into tonight with a just miserable power play. They don't score on the miserable penalty kill, I should say. They don't stop anything on the power play. And, they had a miserable power play too. And yet tonight they won the special teams battle. So that is a concern. That being said, in the third period, as the game continued on, the pressure on Toronto continues to rise because you've got LA coming. You've got to beat LA. These guys come into tonight with a miserable record. They're a terrible team. You can't lose to LA at home. And then Matthews scored from Nylander and Johnson at 12 minutes and 36 seconds. And then the fans could breathe 30 seconds later because Nylander scored from Matthews and Hall. So at 13:06, I put midnight strikes for the Kings. Like, there was no way they were coming back from 2 goals down with less than 7 minutes left on the road. It wasn't going to happen. The Kings continue to have problems with their offense. Kovalchuk, for the most part, still looks... I mean, it's to the point now where when I see 17 on the ice, I'm tracking him. Like, even if he doesn't have the puck, I'm tracking where he is and what he's doing. And just, what a remarkable difference it makes for him from when he was in New Jersey playing pretty well and now. Jonathan Quick saved 20 out of 23. I thought he played okay. Anderson saved 24 out of 25. Your 3 stars are Nylander, Kerfoot, and Iafallo with the goal for LA. Power plays, LA goes 1 for 3. Toronto goes 0 for 4, and as I said, the special teams are still an issue. But that being said, if Tavares hits that open net, they would have been 1 for 4. But again, coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? Shots, chances were low in this. 7-7 in the first, 9-7 in favor of LA in the second, 9-9 in the third. Final shot totals 25-23 in favor of LA. They played a good road game. They just didn't get the result. Next up, New Jersey. Speaking of good road games, the Devils went in tonight against Winnipeg, and coming out of tonight, I don't know that we know much more about either of these teams. New Jersey comes out with a shootout win. So both teams scored a goal in the first 65 minutes of this. He sure scored from Hall and Vatanen at 4:54. And then New Jersey gets a power play. And it looked like early this could be a blowout. The Devils were doubling the Jets in shots. And the Jets really look like they're struggling at home. It has been an issue that continued tonight. And yet, down 1-0 going into the second. They get a power play at 6:04. Do those Jets. Scheifele got an amazing chance that was denied by Blackwood. Blackwood played very, very well tonight. So if you're one of these people tracking Blackwood versus Hart, they're both kind of mirroring each other at this point. Kopp would score from Morrissey and Bork at 8 minutes and 38 seconds. And the Jets were trying to get into a lead here. And the Devils were trying to get... And it was a good back and forth that they had in that period, to the point where I put Jets seek to restore lead, because as I'm writing a note up there, then the Devils went the other way and like restore lead, and just, yeah, it was one of those things. So it's 1-1 after 2 going into the third, and keep in mind at that point I'm tracking 7 different games. Going into the third, Morrissey was one of the guys that blocked a shot with his hand. There were some shot blocks with hands tonight. Both goalies, though, I thought looked excellent. The Devils pushed late. Hellebuck held. And it's 1-1 after 3. So we go into overtime. In the overtime, Laine should have shot it. I don't know if there's a confidence problem with Laine, but it sure looks like there is. There were opportunities tonight where he normally would shoot it, and now he's passing it. And early on in the year, when he's racking up the assists, great. This is overtime, and he only has 3 goals in the year. Take the shot. Take the shot. He didn't. The Jets, though, had a lot of puck control. They then took a timeout. And all 3 players on the ice were forwards for the Jets, which I thought was kind of nice. They had Connor, Scheifele, and Wheeler all on the ice at the same time. The problem is this. The Devils get the puck on a turnover, and Wheeler took a penalty at 4:23. So the danger of having 3 forwards on the ice is when they cough it up. Well, they're not defensemen, so the odds of them taking a penalty in order to try to prevent a chance from going in the back of the net is high. The Devils wouldn't score on that power play. I believe they took a timeout as well in the overtime. The overtime took a while. Then in the shootout, it's Gusev and Boqvist with the goals. So New Jersey gets the shootout win. Blackwood saved 32 out of 33. Hellebuck saved 31 out of 32. Blackwood, Hellebuck, and Roslovic are your 3 stars in this game. Power plays. New Jersey goes 0 for 3. Winnipeg only had 1 opportunity. They didn't score on it. Shots were 12-8 New Jersey in the first, 12-9 Winnipeg in the second, 10-9 New Jersey in the third. In the overtime, Winnipeg outshot them 4-1. Final shots 33-32, as I said, for Winnipeg. Entertaining game in the end. Took a while to get there, but once it really warmed up, not a bad game at all. That being said, New Jersey gets the shootout win, and we'll see if they can get some more convincing victories. If we're building to that, it feels like New Jersey's slowly getting better. It's very, very slowly getting better. All right, Colorado. These guys are not slowly getting better. Colorado is in trouble. And for Colorado, tonight in Dallas, this is alarming. Dickinson scores at 19 seconds. And all I put here's what? Huh? How's Dallas ahead already? The Avs challenged for interference. The goal stood, and the Stars get a power play. Then the Stars got another power play. Radek Faksa scored after the end of that from Sagan and Radulov at 5:46. Faksa, one of my favorite forwards. Pretty good game tonight. The shots were 9-0 Dallas at 7 minutes. The score's 2-0, and they're up 9-0 in the shots. The Avs had no shots through 15 minutes of that first period. 0 shots. They would make up for that after that period, however. The Avs got a power play, and then they ramped it up. Comfer would score from Hamenev and Makar at 19:24, and I put it could be a huge swing because that was only the 4th shot of the period. They would get another shot before the end of the period, but it's only 2-1 for Dallas. So Dallas, period where they just absolutely whooped Colorado and they're only up by 1. You could tell the announcers, I watched the Dallas feed, the announcers were kind of like, uh-oh, they're only up by 1. They were really dominant in that period. What's going on? Second period, early power play for the Avs. The Stars got another power play around halfway through the period. And then Foxa gets a goal. Now, as he's winding up, the stick's broken, I guess. He wouldn't have known. He follows through, he hits the puck. As he hits the puck, you can see there's a bend in the shaft, the stick's broken. He dropped it as the puck went in, so he was in the process of dropping the stick. So he wasn't playing with a broken stick, and when he knew it was broken, he dropped it. That goal from Klingberg and Lindell would actually count. So Colorado challenged it on the broken stick, which the announcers and myself learned you could challenge for. I guess you can challenge for everything on a goal right now. And so it's a double minor to the Avs. This is the first time, I think this is the first time this has happened this year, where 2 unsuccessful challenges means it's now a double minor penalty to your team. The good news for them was that the Stars don't have a good power play. They didn't score on those 4 minutes, and the Stars' power play at that point was 1 for 7. The thing was, the announcers totally forgot, and Darryl Ray should have remembered that they did get the Foxa goal on a power play. He didn't. All the announcers kept talking about was how, well, Dallas hasn't scored on the power play. You know, if Dallas could put 1 in on the power play, they'd be fine. If Dallas could score on the power play, if the Dallas Stars could just put 1 in, and I kept yelling at the TV and they couldn't hear me, they have. They got 1. We are so conditioned that they can't score on the power play that when they do, we go, okay, third period, Gurianov hit the crossbar, and then it's Corey Perry from Fadoon and Hanley at 6:49. And shortly after this, the Dallas announcers again said, who would have believed if even a few years ago that we would be cheering for Corey Perry against Nichushkin? Who would have had that? The Avs got a power play and didn't score on it, and that was a huge story for the Avs. A team that came in with a 20% power play went 0-for on their power play, and they had a lot of opportunities. And I put up here, like, is this the Stars' best game? Is it the Avs' worst game of the year? And is it both? Is this a situation where it's both the best and the worst at the same time? Radulov took another penalty. He's now had two minors in each game for the last 2 games. And they even joked about how they're all in the offensive zone. You don't want to be taking penalties in the offensive zone, but Radulov does. Faxa, however, got a shorthanded breakaway. He had opportunities for the hat trick and just missed more than once. And then the Avs got another power play after that. It was just endless. However, they didn't score on any of them. Grubauer saved 34 out of 38. Bishop faced 37 shots. Once they started getting shots, they got a bunch. 36 out of 37. 3 stars are Foxa, Dickinson, and Corey Perry. Shots were 13-5 for Dallas in the first, 13-11. Dallas in the second, and in the third, Colorado outshot them 21-12. Don't do that. I know it was 4-1. I know, but still. Final shots, 38-37 for Dallas. Power plays, Colorado went 0 for 8. Dallas did get a power play goal. They were 1 for 7. Hope the announcers realized after the game, oh, they did score on the power play. Oh, that's crazy. They did score. All right, next up, Calgary. The Cardiac Flames are back. And you know what's funny is late in this game, I was thinking, last year they would have come back and won this game. And then they did. Now, in defense of the Coyotes, they played last night. Wasn't an easy game against Edmonton. So coming out of tonight with a point is kind of a victory, and yet it kind of isn't, right? You don't look at a loss and go, that's a victory. The Coyotes were up 6-1 in shots at 4 minutes. And then Keller would score from Schmaltz and Garland at 8 minutes and 29 seconds. and my phone alerted me they'd scored twice on the same play at the exact same second. So I had to go from the game I was watching to go over to this and go, wait, they scored 2 goals the exact same second? I don't think they can do that. I don't think Keller, as good as Clayton Keller can be, I don't think he can score 2 goals in less than a second. So he didn't. It was just the app. And the app was weird today. It was giving teams 2 goals more than once. I gave the Jets 2 goals on Cops. So whoever updates the app, sometimes they may not be stone sober when they're doing it. There was a late power play for the Flames. The power play didn't click here. It would click later. Second period, early power play for the Coyotes. Their power play did not click. So one aspect of the game that's been excellent for Arizona lately didn't work for them tonight. The Coyotes, in fact, gave up an amazing shorthanded break for Jankowski, who had, I believe they said, 5 shorthanded goals last year. Well, he missed high on this one. He doesn't have any yet this year. Dvorak would then score from Kessel and Goligoski at 4 minutes and 9 seconds. So Kessel's on the board. The Coyotes got another power play, because of course they did. And it was an impressive run for the Coyotes on the back end of back-to-back nights. I thought, they're playing a really good game. They're up 2-0. The Flames then got an important power play. They didn't score on that one, but then they got another one late. And you could kind of feel the Flames chipping away at the Coyotes as the night went along, and the Coyotes maybe being a little bit tired from last night. Johnny Gaudreau would get a very important game, that piano's off, or goal in this game to take the piano off his back. Tkachuk and Monahan got the assists at 17 minutes and 16 seconds. The Coyotes, however, then went back to the power play, which they didn't score on. Third period, there was a good early chance for the Coyotes, and it looked like the Coyotes were trying to kill the clock. They definitely looked like they were the team that played last night, and the Flames looked fresh. Giordano hit the crossbar. Not long after, Hinostroza scored his first of the season from Stepan and Grabner at 10:31. That makes it 3-1. And you look at that and you go, Arizona's up 3-1. There's less than a half a period left. That's good. And this is where I thought last year, this is exactly where Calgary would stage a comeback. Riddick then went after Hayden, so Hayden kind of poked at his glove when the puck was there. Don't do that. Riddick went after him all on his own, and they mentioned the whole Lucic thing, and don't go near the goalies. And Riddick stands his ground. Riddick to me is kind of a throwback to Billy Smith. That's the one that I think of with Riddick. You go near him, he'll come out. He's not going to send somebody else to do his business. He'll do it himself. And you get the feeling that if he ever drops the gloves, he can back that up. He doesn't have a problem with dropping the gloves if he has to. And I like that. Riddick then denied a breakaway by Grabner. Grabner's so fast, and Riddick, pretty darn good in net tonight. With 4 minutes and 10 seconds left, the Flames got a power play, and look at that, they scored on it. Tkachuk from Lindholm and Giordano with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. They then almost got another one. Backlund, certain goal it looked like, and Ronta gets over to make the save. Absolutely amazing save by Ronta. It felt like that saves the game for them. However, Giordano would score from Anderson and Monahan at 17 minutes and 19 seconds. That ties the game. And as soon as this game became tied, Ronta kind of storms off to think things over with the tie game and all this. Nope, I'm thinking of something else. I'll get to that. But Ronta wasn't happy with the goal. And then going into overtime, you could feel that the momentum with Calgary was on their side. The early chances were in favor of the Flames. Arizona would get chances in overtime. Riddick, he's a pretty good goaltender. And then Tkachuk would score from Backlund and Anderson with 35 seconds left because, of course, it's Tkachuk. Now, it wasn't a great goal. So a night that was fantastic with 4 minutes and 10 seconds left for Ronta, in a period of about 7.5 minutes of game time, it turns into a nightmare. He ends up with 39 saves on 43 shots. Still a save percentage above 900, but nowhere near the save percentage he would have had otherwise. Riddick saved 34 out of 37. Your 3 stars are Riddick, Tkachuk, and Giordano. Riddick shut the door when he had to, late. The shots were 10-9 in favor of Arizona in the first, 14-13 Calgary in the second, 17-9 in favor of Calgary in the third, 5-3 in favor of Arizona in the overtime. Final shots 43-37 in favor of the Calgary Flames. Arizona goes 0 for 5 on the power play in Calgary. Very important. They go 2 for 6. So their power play did it for them tonight. And it was a really fun game. It didn't start out that way, but it became a fun game, which means Arizona lost it. Because when Arizona wins games, they're not fun to watch. They're interesting to watch. They're not really fun. If a game's turned to fun, it means that they've lost control and that the trap isn't working for them. But they do get a point, and that's key. That being said, I now have to change boards. Heartbreak. Heartbreak at the end of this, and we'll get to it. The Vancouver Canucks at home tonight. They managed to eke out a point against the St. Louis Blues. For the Blues, this is a really impressive win for them. Really, really was. The early edge in shots went to the Canucks. And the Canucks, this is the 9th straight game that they've outshot their opposition. Their puck possession numbers are apparently out of this world, and everybody thinks they're fantastic. And I think their record's excellent. They now are 9-3-3, and we'll see how things turn out for them in November. November's a tough month. The Canucks got a power play, didn't score on it. Their power play is, some nights it's great, some nights it's an issue. The Blues got a lot of pressure in that final minute. That pressure didn't break through, though. Markstrom had a good night. So it's scoreless going into the second. They had 4-on-4 offsetting penalties for around a minute, or at around the minute mark. I think it was 55 seconds that happened. Shortly after that's done, Bozak scores from Blais and Steen at 3:37. And this felt like it was going to be a very, very low scoring game, and it was. Binnington looked like he was going to steal it. The shots were 24-10, I believe, at one point for Vancouver. It was pretty wide edge, and yet the Blues had the 1-goal lead. The Blues got a power play late. Their power play, they only had 2 opportunities. They didn't score on them. In the third period, Markstrom denied Barbashev. Really good opportunity for him. And the Canucks got a power play, but the Blues defense, good game for the Blues defense tonight. It was. The shots in the third were actually 6-4 in favor of St. Louis at the 14-minute mark. Holding the home team to 4 shots in 14 minutes when they're behind 1-0, that's impressive. Especially a team with the dynamic offense that the Canucks can throw out there. Besser was then stopped by Binnington. It was right on the goal line. He stopped him. It was a great save by Binnington. And again, it looked like he's stealing it. Quinn Hughes, absolutely perfect placement of the shot. He scores the tying goal at 16:25. I don't think Binnington saw it. There was a screen in front of him. It went over Levo's shoulder. Levo got the assist on the goal. All I could say at that was wow, and I put that on the board. Just wow. And then I said thanks Toronto when I heard Levo got the assist, because what I say. So yeah, Hughes, amazing goal, and Quinn Hughes is very, not so quietly, having a really, really good rookie season. Having him back in the lineup for the Canucks completely changes the dynamic on the blue line. It is a huge difference when he's out there. He is so smart on the puck. He's smart away from the puck. He's fast. Yeah, everything. The Blues then had a 2-on-1, which Miller broke up really nicely because the Blues pushed right to the buzzer. Once it was a tie game, the Blues kind of went, yeah, all right, and they did push right to the buzzer. Some really good defense by Vancouver. They got the point. In the overtime, Binnington denied Myers. And then it's too bad because the key thing for Vancouver with their 3-on-3 seems to be Pettersson, Besser, and Hughes. When those 3 are on the ice and they have the puck, you have a very good chance of getting a goal. Any other combination of 3 for the Canucks could be an adventure. And Myers wiped out, I don't remember who it was. He wiped out one of the other Canuck players. And it was a 3-on-0. 3-on-0 for St. Louis. I think it was Horvat that was trying his hardest to skate back to make some kind of a difference, make it a 3-on-1. He didn't get there. Shen, O'Reilly, and Schwartz. You ever see just guys playing street hockey and it's just toying with the goalie and eventually you just throw it in when you get bored? It's what it looked like. At 3 minutes and 28 seconds, the Blues get that, and then Markstrom slammed his stick on the net. I don't blame him. That sucked for him. He had a great night, and there was no way he was going to stop 3 guys. He was probably choked. He was probably mad as soon as he saw Myers and the other Canucks getting wiped out. And That was rough. And it was a dangerous pinch by the Canucks that led to that 3-0. Don't have all three players pinch below the opposition's goal line because that can happen. Binnington saved 33 out of 34. He was fantastic. Markstrom saved 25 out of 27. He was excellent as well. Binnington, Markstrom, and Schwartz are your 3 stars. No argument with that. Power plays both went 0-4. St. Louis 0 for 2 and Vancouver 0 for 4. And there was at least one power play I saw there where they didn't really set up or get much of an opportunity. Shots were 12-6 Vancouver in the first, 13-10 Vancouver in the second. Both teams had 8 in the third. In the overtime, St. Louis had 3 shots to the 1 for Vancouver. Final shots 34-27. So yeah, moving along. Next up, Minnesota. All right, what's going on with the Ducks? We got to have this discussion. There's something wrong with the Ducks. And I don't know that it's just scoring now either. It feels like it's not just the scoring. So it was an early edge for the Wild. The Ducks got a power play. The Wild killed it. The first period was really kind of low chance, low opportunity. Great road period for Minnesota, right? You're scoreless going into the second. You're happy if you're the opposition to the home team when you're doing that. However, Raquel scored from Steele and Silverberg at 1:27, and then 25 seconds later, Larson scored from Henrique. So 1:52 of the second period, it's 2-0 Ducks. Crowd's going crazy. This game looks like it's probably done because it's Minnesota. Minnesota can't win games. Their record is terrible. However, Fiala would score from Suter and Spurgeon at 9:34. He seems to be getting it together. Fiala seems to be getting his game into shape. And the Wild actually really pushed. Gibson was holding on to things. There were 7 shots in a row for Minnesota at one point in that second period, and they hit a crossbar late. So everything was in favor of Minnesota late. But going into the third, it was mentioned the Ducks are 8-0-0 and leading after 2. And I can only imagine that when trailing going into the third period, Minnesota's record was bad. And Minnesota had lost 8 out of 9 on the road coming into tonight. Everything points to the Ducks nailing this down. And they had an early power play. However, Zuccarello would score from Eriksson Ek at 1:28. Zuccarello had just got out of the penalty box. So a power play that straddled the second and third period. They not only didn't score on it, Eriksson Ek home run pass to Zuccarello, who's behind everybody, and goes in. You've got to watch for the guy coming out of the box. We've seen that many times in hockey. I know it's easier said than done, but got to watch for that guy coming out of the box, and Zuccarello made him pay. Zuccarello's starting to look much more comfortable with Minnesota now than he was early, and of course with injuries, right? Stahl then scored from Zucker and Zuccarello at 4:37, and I love Zucker and Zuccarello combining on a goal. This needs to happen every game. Raquel then tried one from behind the net that didn't go in, and the Ducks pushed a bit, and there was some pushback from them. However, Stalock looked pretty good. And then Parise scores from Cunnin and Koivu at 17:48. That's an empty netter. And there's your game. The Minnesota Wild go in against the Ducks, and they won. Yep. That happened. 3 stars, Zuccarello, Raquel, and Henrique. Stalock saved 29 out of 31. Gibson saved 22 out of 25. Your shots, 10-7 in favor of Anaheim in the first, 12-11 for Anaheim in the second, 9-8 for Anaheim in the third. They outshot them the whole way. Final shots, 31-26, but Minnesota got them in the net when it mattered. And 3 goals in the third. There you go. Power play, Minnesota went 0 for 2. Anaheim went 0 for 2. And strange result. Very, very strange result. But Minnesota will take it. Maybe they're not as dead as they looked early. Or maybe the Ducks aren't as good as they looked early either. That's quite possible. Anyways, moving along. Sharks. The Sharks know how to beat Chicago. They've done it twice now. And they also know how to create some tension late in a game that shouldn't have any tension. There never should have been any doubt about this game. I want to say, it looks like San Jose's getting better. But, makes me nervous. First period, the Hawks got a power play around the halfway mark. But at 16 minutes and 30 seconds into the first period, the shots were 10-3 in favor of the Sharks. Like, it was just in the Hawks zone, and it feels like this is a storyline we've talked about before. Wasn't it the LA game where they had the same problem? They couldn't get out of their... They need to stop this. They can't keep playing like this. Poor Robin Lehner. There was a late 5-on-3 for the Sharks as well, so again, poor Robin Lehner. But going into the second, it's tied at nothing. However, Marleau would score from Meyer and Thornton at the 1 minute and 39-second mark of the second period. So much like Anaheim, they get a goal early in the second period. Unlike Anaheim, they won. The Hawks had 3 shots in the entire game halfway through the second period, meaning they had no shots in the second period halfway through it. And yeah, it was a bad game for Chicago to that point. Lehner was the only reason this game was not a blowout. The Hawks got a power play. Not only did they not score on it, but Evander Kane, he gets a shorthanded goal from Dillon and Ferraro at 12:05. Now, initially they gave the assist to Hurdle. I changed it over to Ferraro on the board here because it still showed Ferraro after the game was done. So I guess they had the wrong player on that play. I don't know. It doesn't really matter as that was a 2-0 lead. And the Sharks at that point were ahead 25-6 in shots. Yeah. Third period, Hurdle put it away from Barclay Goodrow at 4:39. And that's it. It's 3-0. No, it's San Jose. Can't just finish it out like that. You got to make it interesting. The Hawks pushed for a goal. Didn't get it. And Jones looked pretty good. And I said this is a win that Jones needed. And I was thinking to myself, if he gets a shutout tonight, he's going to bring that save percentage up. Maybe he'll get it over 900. Maybe, just maybe, if the Hawks get enough shots. Well, cart before the horse, right? Saad scored from Taves at 16:58, so Taves continues to get his offense going. And then Keith, pretty sure that's his first of the season, from Patrick Kane and DeBrincat at 18:06. In 1 minute and 8 seconds, this is a 1-goal game. They don't make anything easy on themselves. They would get the empty netter. It would be Meyer from Goodrow and Hurdle at 18:34. But this was not as close as it looked, and it shouldn't have been as close as it looked on the scoreboard. 4-2 in favor of Anaheim at the end of the night. Lehner saved 28 out of 31, which does not tell you how well he played. Jones saved 19 out of 21, which doesn't tell you that he almost had the shutout, and then with 3 minutes left, nope. Hurdle, Marleau, and Goodrow are your 3 stars. And power plays, both teams went 0 for 3. Shots, 14-3 San Jose in the first, 12-5 San Jose in the second, and then 13-6 in favor of Chicago in the third. Final shots, 32-21 in favor of San Jose. Don't make your games interesting, San Jose. Just finish them. But that's not how they do things, and this is part of the reason why their record isn't great. And for Chicago, their record isn't great either. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below regarding tonight's games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. It means a lot, and I will talk to you again soon.